While the world's attention is focused on Iran, Israel's war in Gaza continues. Gaza health officials say Israeli strikes over the past 24 hours killed 51 Palestinians and wounded 104. In addition, Israel says it recovered the bodies of 3 hostages Hamas captured in the October 7th attacks. And as the fighting goes on, so does the humanitarian crisis. James Elder is global spokesman for UNICEF. James Elder, I know you're just back from having spent a little more than a week in Gaza. I'm curious, how did conditions compare with previous visits?
John, somehow the situation for Palestinians in Gaza has never been worse. Just this relentless bombardment, so people have been pushed to the very brink. On top of that, the only way that water can be produced, distributed, treated is through fuel. There's been a 100-day blockade of any fuel whatsoever coming into Gaza. Within 2 weeks, we're going to see a complete lack of any drinking water. They cannot live without water. So that struck me heavily. Malnutrition rates, 100 children a day over the course of 2025. And I think, John, the level of children I've seen with wounds of war over 5 visits is unparalleled to anything I've seen in my 2 decades of this work. I don't just see those injuries now, you hear them. Every hospital is the sound of children screaming because of a severe lack of painkillers.
Any one of those children stand out in your memory?
All of them, maybe 2 particularly. One little boy who I met on the very first day. He sticks out, John, because he'd been given money to go and get bread by his father. He saw people moving to one of these new aid distribution points in the south, the limited ones, the militarized ones, and he thought this was his moment to bring back a box of food. Chaos ensued, quadcopters shooting. He was struck by tank shrapnel in his stomach. This boy connected with me because his family wanted a video because they were desperately trying to get him the healthcare he needed, medical evacuation. He sat up through the pain to speak. On my final day there, he succumbed to those injuries and he died. He died trying to get food for his family who are starving.
This is happening more and more. People being shot, wounded, killed while trying to get aid, especially at sites being run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is backed by the Israelis and the U.S. Why is this happening, and what can be done to prevent it?
The only thing that can be done to prevent it is to return to what the world has known in crisis zones and war zones since World War II. It's humanitarian aid. Humanitarian aid is based on some simple principles, but they are work out what the needs are and go to where people are. These points are militarized. There's a handful of them, 3 or 4 only. Only the strongest people get anything there. So this setup as it stands is making things much more desperate for civilians, not only because we've seen so many mass casualty events, but because it's trying to replace a tried and tested humanitarian system that, as I say, has worked since World War II. And most significantly, 2 months ago, during a ceasefire, hostages go home, aid goes across the Gaza Strip.
We've got a little bit of sound I want to play for you. It's a Palestinian mother whose son was injured while trying to get aid.
Do we send our children to death? No, we don't send them to their death. We send them to bring us food so that we do not die. No one is seeing us. The whole world is focused on Iran and left us. We have been suffering since October 7th.
Is that a concern for you that all this attention, a lot of attention is shifting to the fighting between Israel and Iran?
Yeah, hearing her words, John, it reminds me of a 4th-year English literature student I sat with in Gaza a week ago who said, James, starvation is just so humiliating to have to go to a hospice every night with a bowl and crowds of people and hope you get some sort of food. Let's be very clear on that. That is what's happening here. Parents losing their children while they simply go to get food for their family. Yes, to your larger question, without a doubt, it's a concern. Gaza has never been in a more perilous moment. There's a very real fear that it's being overshadowed. And Gazans, as they've said to me, international humanitarian law doesn't apply to us. That's a terrifying realization for a population that rightly, very rightly, feels absolutely abandoned.
James Elder of UNICEF on the very grim situation in Gaza. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.